What up, good people? It's your boy Cliff Latham, and I got my boy Graylin in the building with me today.
What's
And we want to
happening?
welcome you to the Art Beat, where we discuss all things art, where we feel it's the heartbeat of our community. And listen, we got a good one today.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
We about to talk about it, bro. I think this is a topic that's well overdue. I think it's something that people talk about, people mention, and I think it kind of gets a bad rep. Today, we're going to talk about on the art beat. If it's for God, excellence is not optional.
Yes, yes.
Excellence is not optional. A lot of times we get these things that are said. Obviously I'm a church boy, been a church boy all my life, and so I serve or work in a capacity where I'm on the stage, right? And some
Mm-hmm.
people they don't even want you to call it the stage on the church. It's the pulpit. It's a platform, right? The
Yes.
platform means an elevated or raised place, right? So for all you super spiritual and spooky folks, listen, we can get into it today. It's a stage, it's a platform, it's an elevated place, right? And this is just a raised place so that you can be seen, not because it's about you, not because it's about you being seen, but what you are doing when you are on the stage is, guess what you're doing? Say
Perform-
that cuss word.
Performing.
Performing. Ooh, let's get into it. When you are on the stage, you are
Performing.
performing.
Yes.
Oh, you talking about performing at church?
What?
What? You mean to tell me you perform at church? At church, it's a performance? Yes, it is, right? And we hear these things that are said, well, we perform for an audience of one. And that is the case. I tell my people, I said, man, guess what? You need to put on your best performance today, right? Because we are performing for the Lord, and we want to give him the best of what we've prepared, what we've
Mm-hmm.
practiced, what we've prayed over, and that's what we perform. That's what we give. That's what we submit unto to the Lord, right? We perform for an audience of the one, and those who are in the crowd, they
They
can
get to
either view it if they want to, or they
experience
can
it.
participate.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? And so that's on you. Now, if you came just to look at it, you will view it as merely a performance. But if you come to participate, then guess what? It's an opportunity for you to join in with us and give God what he's due. We talking about church today. I know this the art beat, but this is a very near and dear topic to my heart, because man, I just see so many people who give God, I almost said something, this half effort, this
Yes.
lackadaisical effort in what they do, and you call it worship, and you call
Mm.
it, man, God don't just accept anything. You can ask Cain and Abel. One he received and one he rejected, right? And so we have to always make sure that we giving God our best. All right, so let's jump into it, man. Have you ever heard someone just say, well, we just doing this for God, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just doing this for God. Like, it irritates me when you have that gesture or that posture and you say it.
I,
Well, we just doing it for God.
I think some people, hearing that, you know, that might mean is, you know, God knows, and whatever I do
Yeah.
and however I do it,
Mm.
it's gonna be okay in God's eyes, right?
And typically that's used as an excuse.
Right, to probably not give their best. And think about it, even for the artists out there, music artists or any kind of performing artists, um, you want to give your best
Yeah.
because the audience is watching,
Yep.
right? And you talked about the audience of one.
Yeah.
He's watching,
He's watching.
and he deserved the
He
best.
deserves the best.
And if you out there performing through the community, no matter what stage you on,
Yep.
don't you want to give your best to your audience?
Yep.
What
Especially since I'm always representing him.
correct. So a good representation, even for yourself, will go a long way.
Most
And
definitely.
you give your best. And so yeah. Um,
Cool. Let me hang my hat on this scripture. So for those of you who are super spiritual and some of you who are spiritually spooky. I want to dispel anything that you might have to try to come at me. And you come at me in them comments, and we can get it on this one. I the Bible says in Colossians chapter 3, and you look in the 23rd and 24th verse, it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord. Right. This isn't when we're talking about performance. Now, get me wrong. When we're talking about performing on the stage at church and giving God our best, of course, I'm using some wordplay because I know it's gonna get some attention. But I do want to talk about this word performance a little later on. But when it says do all you do as unto the Lord, this means that when I do step on the stage, when I do step out in the community, when I do come on this podcast, when I am fathering my children, when I am being the covering of my house as a husband, I want to do everything that I'm doing to the best of my abilities, because I know that I am representing a son of the Most High. And so in everything that I'm doing, I want to be prayerful. I want to plan. I want to prep. But what I always say is everything, I live my life where it's Holy Ghost pending. Meaning if God wants me to pivot, I want to be in enough communication and alignment with him that if he wants to switch a thing up, then I can move. You know what I'm saying, with what he wants to do. But spending that time in prayer as a husband, as a father, as a minister, as a minstrel, as an artist, all those things. When you do that, then you don't have to feel guilty about saying that I'm presenting what I'm doing or performing in excellence. You know, a doctor performs, they perform surgery, right? And so you don't say, oh man, they doing too much. No. You expect them to do their best to save your life, to save your child, to save your toe, whatever the case may be, right? Yes. And so you don't want them to just do what you can. No. Come on, man. You don't tell them.
Well, we see what happens when they do what they can. You know what I'm saying? Tiles and instruments get left in bodies. You right?
Come on, man. You know what I mean? So I guess it really, I'll say this, it really offends me when people say those statements. Well, God understands that God knows my heart. Yes, he does. And so he knows when you're not giving him your all as well. Ooh. Right? And so when you're not postured to give God your best and you're just giving him the rest, I don't believe that he's pleased with that. Right? You look at Cain and Abel. Again, he don't exist except anything. No. Right? One was a more pleasing gift to the Father, and one was just some, let me get something, let me throw something together. And it was, guess what? What they say on NBA Jam? Rejected. Right? You know what I mean? And so I'm always making sure that God isn't rejecting what I'm offering. Yes. And so preparation and the way I approach things, it's very important, right? When we talk about excellence and performance, right? Obviously we do music, right? Mm-hmm. So from a perspective of a praise and worship leader or a preacher or a sound engineer or a musician and all those things, what we have to understand is that excellence unto God should never be about impressing people. Mm-hmm. Right? I just want to give God my best because he deserves it. Right. And so what I've witnessed over the years, just kind of as you look around and maybe you look at TV streams of ministries, or you go visit certain churches, or you go visit even with you, right? We were talking earlier about wrestling and wrestling camps and whatever. Man, you can see a team and know what kind of coach they have.
100%.
Right? 100%. And you know whether that coach is doing what's necessary to prepare those people for the competition or the performance or whatever, right? Yes. And kind of speak to that like you was, because you was going hard. When you was
yes, for the sports people out there, how this is connected. For sure. There is not, critiquing. It's not a hard critique on anybody, because I know for me, I'm focused on giving my best 100%. Yeah. Right. But you see others, your peers that surround you, who have the same opportunities. Yep. Right. That they could be better. Yep. And delivering better services and opportunities to others, but they choose not to.
Man.
Now, for
Wow.
whatever reason, that to me, you are not giving the best to who you serving.
Wow.
And so, because you're not giving the best to who you serving, is that truly pleasing God?
Yep.
If that's who you trying to please, the
Again,
one.
if we're doing everything that we're doing as unto God.
Correct.
Because if we're operating in our gifts come from God.
Correct.
And our gifts are to be given, right? God doesn't gift us to hold or hoard our gifts. He gives us our gifts to be a blessing to somebody else. So in your coaching, you're preparing and helping somebody to get ready to go to the next level or to be the best. Because it ain't just about wrestling. It's about the other principles that they can use in life as well, right? When I'm teaching somebody how to sing or when I'm teaching somebody in the word, it's not just for that Sunday. These are things that they can put in play in their life and they can help them be better as just a son and a daughter of the Lord in whatever area and aspect of they're doing. But what happens is when we cheap out on the preparation, let me say something too. Even when you talk about looking at your peers, it's not all the time that the peers are not doing or not performing. I have some peers I look at, I'm like, man, you killing that. And so guess what I do? Hey, bro, show me that. You know what I'm saying? And listen, whenever I find that somebody is doing something that's getting a better result than what I get, I immediately find out what it is and put it into play. I ain't finna say, yeah, they doing this better, man, and just man.
We call that being a student of the game.
Come on, man.
It's constantly I wouldn't say you should, but if you have that mindset like yourself, you constantly adding and trying to see and trying to level up to give your best. Period.
Most definitely. Always adding to the arsenal. Always trying to improve upon a technique or a skill set or something that we're doing to make what we're offering and what we're presenting better.
Yes.
Right? I am a belief or the mindset that practice makes permanent. Right. And so a lot of people say, well, practice makes perfect. And the analogy I always use, I'm from Alabama and folks can cook down there, you know what I mean? And in some other areas of the country, maybe not as much. I just say it like that. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. Not like some of y'all been making sweet potato pies for the last 15 years and they ain't perfect yet. You've been getting the same result because you've been doing the same thing. You need to improve upon your practice, and you need to implement something from somewhere else, from somebody who's doing it better, because what happens is, and this is where mediocrity comes in. Sometimes instead of you going and taste another recipe and figuring out that there's a better way, what happens is your family and the people that's in your circle, they get just used to tasting it on your level, and then so they're around here talking about how good it is, and then they inviting people to taste or to hear or whatever, or to experience this thing, and then the people you invite, they're like, what is this? Because they've been exposed to something different. And so I'm joking, but I'm saying is we can't get so complacent in the level or the way that we're doing the thing that we don't explore the other options, the other levels, and grow. It's not about copying. No. But at the end of the day, if I can improve upon my recipe by getting a different spice or a different herb that's not grown in Fort Wayne, but I may have to go to Chicago to get this type of seasoning, or I may have to travel all the way to New York. If that's what I got to do to make my meal be the best meal, man, I want my people to have the best.
And what you said was so right on, was the exposure part.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Whether you're a coach, musician, whatever that is, you have to expose yourself to a high level.
You have to
a high level. And once you are exposed to it, you can take that into practice.
Yep.
Prayer.
Yep.
So that you can deliver it, perform it your very best.
Most definitely.
That adds to your. So that experience part, the exposure to something different, is, to me, is one of the keys.
It's a key for growth.
Yes.
Exposure is the key for growth. How did we get here? You may be wondering. Right. So I'll be honest. I'll be transparent without just being, I guess, blunt. I don't know, this one of the ones where let's just get it right. But I've heard the statement, right, where when a thing shifts, right? And you are comparing to what a thing is or what a thing was in one season to what it is or what it is in the next season. And because you were comfortable or you had become accustomed to a thing on this level, now you view it at another level. And we're not even saying a level is higher or a level is bigger or whatever, but a different way or form. You call this one performance, and you may want to label this one as pure. Right.
Mm.
And so in music, right, there have been places that I've gone, and then so they want to call or they just performing, they just showing out. Now there's a difference between performing and showing out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you showing out, I think that's a thing, or you showing off, then that's what you're trying to be seen. Cliff gonna always give it his best. I'm gonna always give it his best. And if you rocking with me, I'm gonna push you to give your best. I use this thing that I share, that every time I hit the stage, I am auditioning for heaven.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you think about film and auditioning or for sports or whatever, when you are trying out for a team, they want to see your latest thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
They don't want to see something from 3 years ago and you may have had an injury in between there or whatever. Man, I feel like if I die on a Friday, if God wants to pull the highlight reels of me giving him best, it was gonna be at that choir rehearsal Thursday night. Man, I'm talking about I leave choir rehearsal dripping, sweating because I'm giving God my all and I'm pushing my team to give their all, right? And on a Sunday morning, we have our prep time, right? So before we do service, we have to be there at a certain time, as early as 7 a.m. in the morning for a service that starts at 9:30. And some people may think, oh, that's too much. Well, in order to get the results that you're trying to get, in order to make sure the team is prayed up and they're prepped and they're on one accord and we have a singular focus, then you have to put in that time, that energy, that effort into what you are presenting to God's people. Listen, man, when we step on that stage to lead God's people into his presence and worship, man, I don't want us just giving him anything.
Well, some people would say, well, Cliff, man, that's for you.
No, that's for him. That's for him.
But you know,
and the reason I say it's for him because he don't just accept anything. And this is what I what makes me know that this is it has to be for him is if how can I say it? I am not of the mindset where I can just give God anything. And so if I'm cooking a meal for my family and I know I'm in there for 2 or 3 hours and I'm not gonna run off out the room because I know people, they burn food because they got it on too high because they rushing or they weren't paying attention. I could always tell when food is cooked with love. It's got a taste, it's got a flavor, and I've seen enough good cooks to know that they don't just run off away from the kitchen.
No, you watching over it.
Man, they loving or they caring, they talking, man. When I'm in the cooking, guess what? I bring the studio in the kitchen. So if I got to have my headphones and set my Pro Tools up to do whatever I'm doing, or if I'm studying, working on a sermon or whatever, I know if I'm cooking a good meal for my team, I'm gonna be in there for a couple of hours. I mean, for my family, I'm in there for a couple of hours. So whatever I need to get done, it all comes into this place, into this thing, right? And so I said all that to say this: if I'm intentional with my preparation, with my prayer, with my practice, and everything, that is the culmination of this performance, of this showcase of my preparation, man, I don't apologize for giving God. I'm never going to apologize for giving God my best. And so when I do that and I hear people look at it like, oh, you showing out. I said, man, you clearly don't understand what a performance is. It's the same people who say, why don't call it a stage or don't call it a platform. It is what it is. You trying to be spiritual and you trying to be super deep, man. We got to operate in a certain level of reality. Let me get this definition of performance real quick, because this blessed me real quick. And so when I look at the word performance is the public expression of private preparation. It is the visible presentation of what has been developed through practice, study, rehearsal, and experience. performance is not negative or positive. It's not a good or a bad. It is what it is. And so what happens is people have had a bad experience, maybe at a church where somebody was showing out and somebody got up in the pulpit and say, "Oh, we not up here to perform." They weren't performing, they were showing out. And so you tied up that definition, and because we've heard people say this over and over and over again, you made that a negative when it was never a negative. A performance is, again, the public expression of private preparation. So guess what? When you give your sermon on a Sunday morning, it's a performance, right? What you've prayed over, what you've prepared, you are performing that sermon, and it's not a bad thing, right? When you say, okay, we're gonna have minister such and such pray, when they do that in public, it becomes a performance at that point. Absolutely. And it's no less spiritual than if they did it in private. And I know for those who are gonna say when you pray in public, then God don't heal. We're not talking about that. Don't be super deep. And if you are super deep, gonna get you a life raft, because that's not what we're talking about, right? But what happens is, in these spaces, when you do a thing, let's get back to our topic. When you do a thing in excellence, they want to view it as, oh, it's not for God because you showing out or you showing off. I exactly am for him.
What happens when you are, because there's some people that are part of the experience on Sunday mornings, and they say, man, Pastor Cliff, he doing too much. Yeah. Man, these rehearsals, he killing us. What do you say to that? Because if you are in that, in that experience, and to give that experience to the people, a part of that performance, and some people look at it like, man, they doing too much. The MD he got us here for an extra 2 hours. What do you say to that for those people? Because they need a little bit of encouragement in that performance and preparation.
So I think all of this is based on who you choose to follow, or who you choose to let coach you, right? And in some instances, you're able to choose your coach. Like if you're doing private dance lessons, you can get a private coach, the person that you hire. But if you choose to go to this school, whoever teach PE is whoever teach PE. You know what I'm saying? And so you're stuck with that coach. And that may sound harsh, but if you let anybody give an honest opinion, that coach that pushed them hard was the one that they hated when they had to go class. And guess what? They become, or they use those principles of that coach when they parent their children. Ooh. They use those principles of that teacher that say, instead of saying write a paragraph, they ask you to write a page, and you hated it when you were in your immature state. Right? I'm talking to you, coach, right? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because when you get of a certain age, like me, and you've been doing a thing a certain amount of time, you get those students who come back and say, man, I didn't understand it then, but I appreciate it now. Same conversation I had to have with my mom when I said, thank you for not allowing me to do this or that. Because now when I look at certain friends that had these liberties that I wished that I had at the moment, man, when I look at some of them, I'm like, man, thank God that you restricted, that you had these boundaries, or you put these things in motion. And so it's the same thing in these seasons because when you think about it, you're being trained and you're being prepped, even though it may be music or it may be ministry or it may be preaching or whatever. Yeah. It's the principles that are being applied that you never give God anything less than your best. And so it may seem overwhelming. It may seem like too much in this season. But if you can learn that principle and your mindset starts to shift, then guess what? It becomes your new normal. Practice becomes permanent. And what we talked about earlier today, I think they say how you do anything is how you do everything. Ooh, yeah. Right? And so, some people may call it too much. Man, I call it, I wish it was some more hours in the day if it's gonna help me to give God, God better. You know what I mean? Yeah.
We appreciate that, because there's a lot of people out there that they don't understand that.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to either leading and coaching others into that space of giving your best all the time,
Yeah.
um it just becomes that, because maybe they in that season they just don't want to do more or have the capacity to do what needs to be done for the excellence that someone is
Is
doing.
required. But
Yeah.
then I think one of the things that we said earlier too is being realistic. Now, when we talk about giving God excellence, that's a personal thing.
Mhm.
Now, when you come into a choir or you come on to a team, then there is a team standard. And my requirement for everybody is to give me your best. Now, if I have a person who has been on our team who's been singing for 30 years, and I have somebody who's been singing for 3 years, I'm not saying that this person that's at level 3, if they're not sounding like the person that's at been doing it for 30
Mhm.
years, I'm not saying, well, you not doing it. No, give me your best. And this is the thing. I've been doing this long enough. You can't fool me like you giving your best when you not.
Yes.
I have them all the time, and you know very well who
Who
you
you
are, right?
are.
I have them sometimes like, you ain't singing, and they look at me and they laugh. I'm like, you can't fool me with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know the difference. I can have 30 people in this choir. I know when there's 29 of them singing and you're not singing. You can't lip sync and fool me. And they'll just start laughing. I'm like, if you tired, just say you tired. But what you're not gonna do is move your mouth and act like you fooling me, which is a testament to what we do to God, and which is what I'm really talking about in this conversation. You can't fool God
Oh no.
like you. He know whether you giving him your best or not, and you can't fool. At the end of the day, that can wrap up the whole thing. You can feel how you want to feel about the word performance. You can feel how you want to feel about the word excellence and what a person's standard is. God knows when you are or when you are not giving your best. And man,
Absolutely.
what upsets me, and this is what makes me hot with people, is when you say you doing this for God and you have tail. Let me say tail because I'm hot and I can say something else. When you give God these have tail efforts, and you say it's for God.
Mhm.
And then you want to point out and say somebody else is arrogant or they think they all that because they're giving God all of what he gave them. Because really you ain't giving him none. You're just giving back to him. He gave you the gift. He gave you the voice. He gave you the sermon. He gave you the prayer. He gave you the ability to do whatever you're doing. So you're giving back to him. It's not yours.
Not yours.
What it look like God, you know what I'm saying? He give you, now we ain't even gonna go talk about money because now you start talking about tithes and offering what's God. But it's almost like the God who has, I'll just use an analogy. He has $1,000,000 and he gives you 100 and he asks you for that 100 and you give him 98 and think he's not gonna notice. He gave you the $100. So you thinking if you could tear a piece of that $100 and get it back to him and he gonna examine it and he be like, oh, thank you for that 100. No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so in their mind, oh, they cheating me. And how many of us cheat God for the sake of like you said, well, he know my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
And he's expecting
He does.
your very best.
Your very best. Listen, this has been the Art Beat. We done. Oh, I think we could do a part 3, a part 4, a part 5, a part 6, but we not. We gonna leave it alone. Feel how you want to feel. Say how you want to say. If you want a dialogue about this, we can go. I'll take you to lunch on this one right here. I'm going to always give God my best in everything that I do. And honestly, all jokes aside, I recommend you do the same because he deserves it. All right. This has been the Art Beat. I pray that something was said that encourages you, that inspires you, uplifts you, that pushes you towards giving God your best. Peace.